بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Impediments in the way of seeking knowledge. Impediments in the way of seeking knowledge. First, corrupt intention. Corrupt intention. And we know that the intention is the pillar for each action. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. Actions are but by intentions, and for each will be that which he intended. And in as much as there is defect in the intention, then the degree in the defect of action will be proportional. Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah said, ما عالجت شيئا أشد علي من نيتي. I didn't struggle with anything more stronger or more intense upon me than my intention. And if this is Imam al-Thawri, then what about us? The second impediment is love of fame and love to lead. This falls under the intention, but it is to be singled out because of its importance. And we know of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the frightening one. The three who will be blazed in hell first to receive judgment. One who learned the Quran and taught it and recited it, and when he was asked that he did it for Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him, كذبت, you lied, but you learned so that it is said that he is a alim, and you recited so that it is to be said that you are a reciter, and it was said. And in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ also warned in another narration, the most I fear upon you is shirk and hidden desires. And this is authenticated by Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah. And the Saleh rahimahumullah used to fear this to a great extent. And from the examples, what came in the biography of Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani rahimahullah, Shu'bah said that Ayyub said, ذُكِرْتُ وَلَا أُحِبُّ أَنْ أُذْكَرْ. I was mentioned, but I didn't like to be mentioned. And Hammad said that I used to walk with him, with Ayyub, and he would take a certain roads, and I would be amazed how he knows these roads. فِرَارًا مِنَ النَّاسِ and يُقال هذا أيوب, running away from people, lest it would be said, this is Ayyub. And Imam Ahmad said, I would love to be in the alleys of Mecca so that I don't be known. And I had been tested by fame. The third impediment is negligence regarding the circles of knowledge. People don't go to them, don't come to them. And the Salaf used to say, العلم يؤتى ولا يأتي. Knowledge is to go for it, not to come for you. Knowledge is to go for it, not to come for you. The fourth impediment, seeking excuses in having much to do, being busy. This is an impediment raised by shaitan to keep away people from seeking knowledge. The fifth impediment is negligence in seeking knowledge at an early age, lest people grieve and regret the times that went in their lives lost, not utilized in seeking knowledge and in preparing for it. The sixth impediment turning away from seeking knowledge. And from the causes behind this, claiming to being busy in following the current affairs and understanding what goes on in the world and the politics and you name it. Following newspapers, magazines. The seventh impediment, self-purification. Meaning the person loves to be praised, praise himself, and be praised or being pleased in hearing the praise of others for him. There is no doubt that the praise of others is a hastened glad tiding, as came in the hadith for the believers. However, one should be cautioned to praise or be praised in a matter which is not in you and you be pleased with it. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in Surah Al-Imran in 3:188, وَيُحِبُّونَ أَن يُحْمَدُوا بِمَا لَمْ يَفْعَلُوا. Think not that those who rejoice in what they have done or brought about and love to be praised for what they have not done, think not you that they are rescued from the torment, and for them is a painful torment. And the generally self-purification in general is blameworthy, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in Surah An-Najm verse 32, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. 53:32. So ascribe not purity to yourselves. He knows best him who fears Allah and keep his duty to him. And the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تزكوا أنفسكم. Do not sanctify yourselves. Allah knows the righteous amongst you. This is narrated by Muslim. Yes, it is the right of the person to sanctify himself in certain times or according to certain situations. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about Yusuf alayhi salam in 12:55. اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم. Yusuf said, set me over the storehouses of the land. I will indeed guard them with full knowledge. I will indeed guard them with full knowledge. However, in general, loving, sanctifying oneself and being praised is one opening an entrance for shaitan upon the slave. And if you want to know the danger of purification and sanctification, then look for your negligence or defects in obedience to Allah. Then examine what you are being praised for. Would it be that if He knows really of you what is hidden from Him and of the bad things that you do, which is not pleasing to Allah, would He then praise you? So the person should be careful not to sanctify himself with certain titles which is not befitting him and doesn't deserve. Because anyone who hastens something before its proper time, he will be punished by being deprived of it. The eighth impediment: not acting upon knowledge. Not acting upon the knowledge. This is one of the causes for abolishing the blessings of ilm. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blamed. Considered to be blameworthy, as in Surah As-Saff, verse 3. قال الله تعالى: كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تعلمون. Most hateful it is with Allah that you say that which you don't know. This is the companion Abdullah bin Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him. He used to say: كان الرجل منا إذا تعلم 10 آيات لم يجاوزهن حتى يعرف معانيهن والعمل بهن. The person amongst us, whenever he learned 10 verses, he would not exceed until he knows their meaning and act according to them. And this is Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu says: يهتف العلم بالعمل. Ilm, knowledge, calls upon action. فإن أجابه وإلا ارتحل. If it responds, otherwise it will leave and go away. Because al-ilm wal-amal qarinan, are associates. Either they are combined together or lifted together. And if there is ilm without amal, then this is a proof against the person. One of the Salaf rahimahullah said: أدوا زكاة الحديث. Give away the zakah of hadith, the charity of hadith. فاستعملوا من كل 200 حديث 5 أحاديث. Then use in action, out of 200, 5. The benefit of acting upon knowledge is that it affirms and establishes the knowledge. The zakah of wealth is 2.5%. And the zakah of ilm is to act by it and to teach it. As Shaykh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah said: اعلم رحمك الله, know, may Allah's mercy be upon you, أنه يجب على كل مسلم ومسلمة, that it is incumbent upon every Muslim and Muslimah, تعلم 4 مسائل, to learn 4 matters. الأولى, first, العلم, knowledge. Second, العمل به, acting according to it. الثالث, الدعوة إليه, the third, to call for it. And fourth, الصبر على الأذى فيه, patiently persevering and forbearing the harm which may be inflicted upon the person due to his call. And in accordance with the extent that you sanctify this knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you goodness which you will never think how it will come. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in Surah Al-Talaq 65, verse 2, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. And whoever fears Allah and keeps his duty to him, He will make a way for him to get out from every difficulty. The ninth impediment is despair and belittling oneself. Despair and belittling oneself. The seeker of knowledge, you and me, and Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, and Imam al-Bukhari, and Ibn Hajar, and Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, and Al-Albani, we all share in the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Nahl, وَاللَّهُ أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والبصر والأبصار والأفئدة لعلكم تشكرون. And Allah has brought you out from the wombs of your mothers while you know nothing, and He gave you hearing, sight, and hearts that you might give thanks to Allah. This is a common matter for all people. For the prophets and the messengers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose them, and the companions after that. This ayah combines all, and therefore do not belittle anything of goodness, and don't belittle yourself. And at the same time, as mentioned earlier, don't sanctify yourself while you know that you are not fitting. Despair and lack of confidence in oneself is one of the great causes against the achievement of knowledge. Don't degrade yourself if you are weak in memorization or in understanding or slow in recitation or you quickly forget. All of these are illnesses which can be cured if the intention is good and sincere and you exert the causes. And one of the things that of a great asset and help that makes the person good in keeping in memory what he learns is the relinquishing of sins and avoiding sins. And Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah said a great poem. He said, شكوت إلى وكيع سوء حفظي. I complained to Waki', one of the tabi'in. فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي. So he guided me to relinquish sins and abandon sins. وقال أعلم, and he said, no, بأن العلم نور, that ilm is a light, knowledge is a light. وَنُورُ اللَّهِ لَا يُؤْتَاهُ عَاصِي, and the light of Allah is not given to a sinner. The 10th impediment is false hopes and wishful thinking. This is one of the soldiers of Iblis, soldiers of Shaitan. And Imam Ibn al-Qayyim described it as the capital of the bankrupt. This is like to say, well, there will come time when I will learn, and we know all that the end can strike any time. And as the poem said, وَلَا تَرْجِعْ عَمَلَ الْيَوْمِ إِلَى غَدٍ, don't postpone today's work to tomorrow. لَعَلَّ غَدًا يَأْتِي, it may be that tomorrow may come, وَأَنْتَ فَقِيدُ, and while you are not there. أسأل الله عز وجل, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, to make of these points a benefit for myself and for all of you, and to make our intentions in seeking this ilm and in teaching it sincere for His face, and to forgive us our shortcomings and mistakes and sins. إنه هو الجواد الكريم. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.